welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking into something genuinely chilling. We have these sources, these true accounts, focusing on the butterfly effect.
Right. Not just any stories, though. These are about how one tiny, almost a noticeable action, it can literally mean the difference between life and, well, a horrifying death.
Exactly. We're not doing a typical deep dive today, more like narrating these incredible stories of fate, chance, and honestly, sheer terror.
And the core idea, the really terrifying part, is how thin that line is. You know, a bad joke, grabbing the wrong shirt, a coin flip, things you just brush off.
Things you might even get annoyed about at the time.
Yeah, completely. And those exact annoyances sometimes end up being the very thing that saves someone. It's about chance, but also about how we perceive these random events.
Okay, let's get into the first one. This is intense. It takes us underwater back in the 1990s. Commercial welding.
Deep sea stuff,
Yep.
Gulf of Mexico, oil rigs, pipelines. It's already a high-risk job, right? The statistics alone are pretty stark.
Stark is putting it mildly. The sources state the death rate is something like 40 times the national average for other jobs.
Yeah, it's incredibly dangerous. You've got the obvious risks like decompression sickness, the bends, electrocution, drowning, cognitive issues from the pressure too.
But there's one threat the sources really highlight as the most terrifying, something called delta P.
Ah, yes. Differential pressure. That's the one.
Can you break that down a bit? What makes delta P so uniquely horrifying?
Well, imagine you have a pipe, maybe blocked or with a valve closed. The water pressure on one side is massively different from the other.
Right.
The terrifying thing is you can't see it. You can't feel it. There's no warning until it's too late. Once that pressure difference finds a way to equalize, it creates this immense, unstoppable suction force.
Unstoppable.
Completely. They call it the invisible killer. The sources mentioned the dolphin bell incident. A diver was literally pulled through an opening about the size of a clock face. Organs expelled. It's just pure mechanical force. Your strength means nothing.
It's just awful. And that brings us to this specific story. A veteran welder, experienced guy, needs to clear a blockage.
Right, but the company pairs him with a newbie, a rookie. They wanted the kid to get some real-world experience.
So before the dive, the veteran kind of asks the kid, why this job? The pay's good, sure, but look at the risks.
And the newbie's answer, this is the hinge point. He wasn't supposed to be a diver at all. He was in university studying business.
Okay, so what happened?
He hit a final exam. One question left, multiple choice, totally stumped, 50-50 shot. So what does he do?
Oh, no, don't tell me.
He flips a coin right there in the exam hall.
Wow.
Gets it wrong, fails the exam by one single point, gets kicked out of the business program.
Just like that.
Just like that. So he falls back on his commercial diving training because, well, what else is he going to do? And that leads him eventually to this rig, this dive, all from a coin flip years ago. Just a moment of bad luck, he probably thought.
Okay, so fast forward. They're down there, 200 feet. The newbie goes first to clear the blockage, following procedure.
And the instant he clears it, the delta P surges. The veteran watches, completely helpless, as the kid is just sucked inside the pipe, gone.
Oh, man.
The crew gets the system stable, but yeah. The veteran had to go in and retrieve the body. He quit right after his contract was up, couldn't do it anymore.
And the realization.
Yeah, that coin flip. Years earlier, that single random 50-50 chance decided which one of them would be in that exact spot when the pressure surged. It saved the veteran's life by putting the newbie there instead.
It's that butterfly effect, just laid bare. A tiny academic failure dictates who lives and who dies in this incredibly dangerous job years later.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder, doesn't it?
It really does. Are these small setbacks, these frustrations, constantly, course-correcting us away from disaster without us even knowing?
That is a heavy thought, and it ties right into the next account. We're moving from the deep sea to something much more mundane, a concert in Indianapolis. And the trigger, the T-shirt.
Yeah, this one's almost absurdly simple at the start. A guy is heading out to a Metallica concert with 3 buddies. Standard night out.
But he hits a snag. He can't find his favorite Metallica shirt. He's looking everywhere, getting annoyed. His friends are waiting.
Right, typical little frustration. So he just grabs whatever's there. Turns out it's a Nirvana shirt, puts it on, heads out.
They get to the concert, and here's the next little nudge from fate. Some random woman comes up to him.
Not a Metallica fan, apparently. She sees the Nirvana shirt and makes a comment, something like she thought Nirvana was overrated.
Okay, get random.
But he found her attractive, bantered back, said something kind of lame about her maybe having hearing damage. cheesy line, but
But it worked.
it worked. They hit it off, talked all through the concert, so much so that when it ended, he tells his friends, you guys head back in the car. I'm going to stay, grab a cab later.
The diversion.
Exactly. Created by the wrong shirt, and then the conversation it sparked.
So what happened to the friends?
Later that night, the news comes in. The car, with his 3 friends, massive collision on the highway. Horrific crash.
Oh, no.
The sources are pretty graphic. It says one friend was basically reduced to a red skid mark. All 3 died instantly. Total devastation.
And the seat he would have been in.
If he'd found that Metallica shirt, if he'd left with them, the report said the seat where he would have sat was just shredded, impaled by metal from all sides. He would have been, quote, annihilated.
Wow. Saved by not finding his shirt.
Saved by a 5-minute frustration and grabbing the wrong band's tee. And the kicker, he found the Metallica shirt a few days later, hanging right in his closet, plain as day. Missed it entirely.
Incredible. Okay, so we've seen random chance, frustrating delays. Now let's look at where a piece of learned information acquired by chance makes the difference. We're going to Vietnam. Tunnel rats.
Yeah, a grim, terrifying job. These soldiers, often chosen because they were smaller. The story involves an uncle who's only 5'5". They had to crawl into these incredibly tight Viet Cong tunnel networks.
Armed with what? Just basic gear?
Pretty much. A pistol, a bayonet, a flashlight, that's it. Going into pitch darkness, low oxygen, against an enemy who knew every inch of those tunnels and had them filled with booby traps.
The stress must have been unbelievable.
Immense. So this uncle and his partner are deep inside a complex. Adrenaline's pumping, vision's probably getting screwy from the dark and lack of air. And they reach a fork. Go left or go right.
How do you even decide that?
In that state, they went basic. Rock,
Yeah.
paper, scissors.
You're kidding? Down there.
Down there. But the real butterfly moment, the thing that decided the outcome of that game, actually happened the day before.
Okay, what was it?
It was social. The uncle usually hung out with the same group of buddies, but he'd had a falling out with them. One guy made a really inappropriate joke about a photo of the uncle's girlfriend, who he mentioned was a larger lady.
So he was mad.
Yeah, really ticked off. So instead of sitting with his usual crew at the mess hall, he goes and sits with a completely different group of guys he didn't know well.
Okay, a social detour.
Exactly. And during chow, just random conversation, one of these new guys, an infantryman, shares this weird bit of trivia he'd noticed.
Which was?
He said that statistically, when people play rock, paper, scissors, they're way more likely to throw rock on the first go. It's like a default opening move for many people.
Huh. Never thought about that.
Right. Seems totally useless. Until the next day when he's in that tunnel facing that fork, playing rock, paper, scissors for his life.
He remembered this statistic.
He remembered, figured his partner would likely throw rock, so the uncle chose paper, and he won. His partner threw rock, the uncle took the left path as the winner.
What happened then?
He went down the left tunnel, planted his C4 explosives to collapse that section, did his job, and got out about 20 minutes later, alive.
And the partner who went right?
Never came back. Turns out the right passage was heavily trapped, spears hidden in the walls designed to impale anyone coming through.
So getting offended by a joke led to sitting with different people, learning a random statistic, winning a game,
Yeah.
and surviving.
Precisely. If he hadn't been offended, hadn't moved tables, he likely never hears that statistic. Maybe he throws rock or scissors himself. Maybe he loses the game, takes the right path, and dies. It wasn't just chance. It was chance leading to specific applicable knowledge.
That connection is just...
Wow.
Okay, let's touch on a few other brief but powerful examples. These span different eras, different places, but show the same principle.
First, let's go to Stalin's Russia, a Siberian gulag. Brutal place. This involves someone's grandfather imprisoned there for 10 years. Hard labor, cutting timber. Millions died in those camps. Cold, disease, exhaustion, violence.
A truly unforgiving environment.
Absolutely. And within the camp, there were inmate codes. Stealing food, especially, was basically a death sentence. Not always from the guards, but from fellow prisoners. With axes, apparently, when the guards weren't looking.
Grim. So what happened with the grandfather?
One night, he catches his bunkmate, a young kid, stealing his tiny piece of bread. He's the only witness. He could have easily signaled, and the kid would likely have been killed.
But he didn't.
He showed mercy, said nothing to anyone, just confronted the boy quietly, made him promise never to do it again. That was it.
An act of kindness in a place with none.
And it paid off. Months later, that same young man who had managed to get friendly with some guards, maybe trading favors for scraps, he gets word of something bad.
Well,
The guards were planning revenge for an escape attempt. They weren't going after the escapees. They were going to punish the whole bunkhouse the grandfather was in. Make an example.
oh, God.
The young man runs to the grandfather, tells him, "Get out now." The grandfather bolts. Just moments before the guards arrive, they round up all the other men left in the bunkhouse, maybe 10 of them, march them out into the freezing night, never seen again. That single act of mercy, months before, saved his life and allowed his entire family line to eventually exist.
Unbelievable. Okay, 2 more quick ones involving major disasters.
Right. First, the Titanic. Someone's great-grandfather booked passage, third class. But just before the final stop in Belfast, Ireland, he got really sick. A bad cold, maybe flu.
Just bad timing.
Or good timing. The ship's officers were worried about disease spreading, so they forced him ashore in Belfast. He couldn't continue the voyage.
And the ship sailed without him.
And sank a few days later. His illness, a total annoyance at the time, kept him off the doomed ship.
And the second one.
World War II, Pacific Theater. A grandfather is waiting in line to get on a transport plane. Crucial flight. But just as he's about to board, some higher-ranking officer pulls rank, cuts in front of him, and grabs the last seat.
That would be infuriating.
Totally. He missed the flight because he got bumped, but that plane
Let me guess.
shot down shortly after takeoff, everyone on board killed. Getting cut in line saved his life.
It's like the universe uses these little irritations sometimes.
It really seems that way in these stories. Okay, now let's widen the lens. How can these small local acts ripple outwards, maybe even affect global history? There's that famous story connecting penicillin and Churchill.
Right, the Alexander Fleming story. It sounds almost like folklore, but it's a perfect illustration.
It starts simple. Poor Scottish farmer, Farmer Fleming, finds a young boy struggling, drowning in a bog near his farm. He pulls him out, saves his life.
Okay, a heroic act.
The boy turns out to be the son of a wealthy nobleman, Lord Randolph Churchill. Lord Churchill comes to the farm, wants to reward the farmer.
Offers money.
Farmer Fleming refuses money. So Lord Churchill makes a different offer. He'll pay for the farmer's son, Alexander, to get the best possible education.
Ah, so that's how Alexander Fleming got his start.
Exactly. That education allows him to become a scientist and eventually, famously, discover penicillin, the first real antibiotic.
A world-changing discovery.
Absolutely. Now, fast forward years later. Who gets desperately ill with pneumonia, which was often deadly back then?
Lord Churchill's son. The boy saved from the bog.
Winston Churchill. And what saves his life? Penicillin. Discovered by the man whose education was funded because his father saved Winston Churchill from drowning years before. The kindness ripples forward, creating the cure that saves the original boy decades later. A huge historical impact from one rescue in a field.
That's an amazing loop. Okay, let's bring it right back down to the most personal, everyday level for the last one. The yellow sweater.
Yeah, this is so simple. It's almost profound. A couple grandparents in this story worked in the same big office building for years.
Saw each other around, presumably.
Constantly, passed in the hallways, maybe the cafeteria. But the grandfather never really noticed her. Just another face in the crowd. Until one day, she wore something different. A bright yellow sweater. Completely random choice for her, apparently. But that splash of color, it just caught his eye.
Made him look twice.
Made him stop. He introduced himself that day. Asked her out.
Have the timing.
Here's the kicker. She was actually planning to quit that job and leave the city in just 2 weeks.
No way.
If she hadn't worn that specific sweater on that specific day, if he hadn't noticed it, they likely never would have spoken. That one random clothing choice was the spark. The entire family exists because of a yellow sweater.
Putting all these together, it's overwhelming. The sheer randomness, the fragility, life hanging by these tiny threads.
An exam answer, a statistic learned over lunch, the color of a sweater, showing mercy when you don't have to.
What strikes me is how we only see it looking back. At the time, it's just an annoyance, right? The lost shirt, the guy cutting in line, failing the test.
Exactly. You perceive it as negative, a setback. But these accounts suggest those moments might actually be the course corrections, the universe nudging you maybe off a path that leads to something terrible you couldn't see coming.
So the final thought then, for you listening, it's pretty provocative, isn't it?
It really is. If you hit traffic today, if your computer crashes, you have some minor argument or delay.
Instead of just getting frustrated, maybe pause. Consider that this annoyance, this little piece of friction in your day.
Could it possibly be the very thing diverting you? shifting your path just enough to miss some unseen danger waiting down the road you were on.
Every delay might be a subtle, necessary calibration. Wow.
It's something to think about.
Well, thank you for joining us for this unsettling collection of stories, this look at chance and survival.
Yeah, reflect on your own butterflies. And if you found this compelling, if you want to keep exploring these darker corners of fate,
Please do like, share, and subscribe to our channel, Horror Docs. It helps us bring you more content like this.
don't miss what's coming next.